Alright, this is the slab rack. Thought I'd separate it out from the talk about the sawmill. But basically just stack up the leftovers from the sawmill in it, and we run banding around it. We pick it up with the old crawler and we move it. These are another rack. It's got lumber in it, but you can see the design a little better. Pretty simple concept. Just big old 2x, angle cut on the top part, so as you pick it up with the crawler, it's not binding as you pick it up. It's deliberately open lower to the ground on one side, because if you look at that one, the boards are way high on the one side, and the other side the boards are low like this, so that the forks of the crawler can go in and pick up the bundle of slabs. And I guess I made 3 of those a few years ago. I was a little working on the firewood. I think that's probably, once I get these split up, I'll probably relocate to a new location. And those logs, that top one's fairly decent, but I'll probably load those logs up on the with the crawler on the trailer and take them up on the hill, and then I'll come back down and I'll go up with the crawler. I'll take the logs off, and then I got fresh logs I'll load up on the trailer, bring them down here. If there's more than one load, I'll just leave the crawler up there, and I'll come down here and I'll roll the logs off and go back up there for another load and make it happen. But this is side effects of running the sawmill, is you get lots of this stuff. Lots and lots of the leftover slabs. And even though we're pretty darn reasonable on the price of them, there really isn't much of any demand for this stuff. You know, I would say the longest bundle there is 16 foot for because once it gets over 16 foot, you know, the rack can handle, I think, 7'6", so if it gets up to 18 foot, we can cut them in half. Only side effect is the slab bundle fills up twice as fast that way. More logs here, older logs in the back. They may be firewood, they might be well, if I get ambitious, I might make 1x for a firewood shed of some sort. If I'm not selling it, I'm just using it for my own use. If they're not very pretty, it doesn't really matter to me. Sort of like the wood I shove in the stove. Not necessarily very pretty wood. But the side effect of the slabs is you have a lot of bark, because you know, basically you're looking at the remnants of the outside of the log. So you're predominantly sapwood, so it takes longer to dry. The side effect of it is, being sapwood, the bugs like to attack the sapwood many times more than they like to attack the heartwood of the tree. I mean, I remember when we first started doing these bundles, we bundled it up and we took some bundles to somebody and they thought, oh, we'll just pick these bundles up with our little tractor, because we got a nice set of forks on it. I mean, it was a joke. The number of tractors, rubber tired tractors that can pick up these bundles is a very, very short list of tractors, because they are, when they're fresh off the mill from a green tree, there is some serious weight to these things. Some of these 16-footer ones that I've packed down here with the crawler, I mean, even the crawler is telling me, hey, you got some serious weight on the front of you, don't do anything dumb. So yeah, that's leftovers. Log doesn't look that big in the camera, but you know, that's just about a 20-foot log laying there. I don't know how big this thing is. Not incredibly long, but it sure is big. Yeah. That's big. That's nearly 40 inches across. You know, you can see they start to rot in the sapwood out here, but the heartwood is, so you know, if I took that up to the mill to make 1x out of, or any of these, you just generally, you know, take a block of wood off from each end and get what you get out of the middle, because you cut that foot, the 16-inch 18-inch block off from the end of it, then you're getting all the rot that's going into the end of the log. You're not having to deal with it anymore. Yeah, that one's big. There's got some big knots in it, or hidden big knots. Anyway, I'm just rambling on about slab wood and logs. But I'm not the only person that has an issue with getting rid of slabs. I've thought about, you know, rigging up a table. I've thought about, you know, having people have a cutting station, and then they've got 2x, and then the wood falls down between them on the ground. But I've thought about having something like that up in the air, and then you cut it, and then it just falls onto a trailer, and then you take it somewhere, and then you dump it off from the trailer, and it's that, or just pile this stuff into a great big pile and burn it. So like the sawdust. Lots and lots of sawdust. People think they got lots of sawdust with a band mill. You don't have a clue what a lot of sawdust is with a band mill. These circle mills, they make copious amounts of sawdust, because we're usually pushing 5/16, 9/32, maybe sometimes 1/4-inch teeth. We do have one set of 11/32 teeth, but we've never used them. They're primarily intended for a spruce tree, because spruce has a lot of the cross grain. It's actually, what is it? It's strength per pound on spruce is actually greater than fir, but the actual poundage per quantity of wood of a spruce, I believe, is less than fir, so it's weaker. I guess that's why they used it in airplanes. They used the spruce wood in airplanes, as it was the strength per, yeah. That's not band mill sawdust. That's big chunks. You know, you don't get stuff like that on a band mill. You get this powder stuff. So there's always a pile of hair. You can pretty much see it from a satellite. Those are pile of sawdust that you can see from outer space. Haha. So anyway, that's the, well, I can show this slab rack. You know, it's just made out of, I think this one was made out of 2x10s. Most of them are made out of 2x12s. You know, this is down a little bit here, so when you stick the forks through, in theory, you can go above this. Whereas on the other side, it's a lot more open, other than those diagonal pieces trying to brace it in place. So more wood than I know what to do with. It's just, when it's, you know, the sapwood, there's not a lot of demand for it, so it usually just stacks up over time. That's another interesting aspect, kind of a squirrel moment here. So if I come back and I make a video in the dead of January, the gap between these boards will be essentially touching, whereas right now in the dry season, we're just coming to the end of fire season. Not too much longer, because we've already got some moisture on the ground, but not very much. We generally have 3 months through the summer where we just turn into a desert, and then the other 9 months of the year it's a blooming swamp around here. That's kind of how the West Coast gets their fire seasons, whereas the East Coast, you always have this random chance of having a rainstorm come through all summer long. That's pretty much what's happened all this summer. It's like rain, 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 rain back east. So